Hi guys.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hi guys. Today I'm interviewing Draper from Boxing Royalty. And who, out of your boxes, who do you want to talk about first?
We can talk about whoever you want to, mate. First off, thank you for having me on. I've seen some of your interviews recently, and you're doing well. So keep up with what you're doing.
Thank you. Should we talk about Mark Little first? As I was at his fight on the 26th of March, wasn't it?
Yeah, 26th.
Against Daniel Mendes.
That's right, mate. Yeah. What did you think?
I thought it was an absolute robbery, mate.
That's it, mate. I mean, look, obviously, with what I do, I've known Mark a while now, and it hurt a lot, because I went down to Romford and see Mark 3 or 4 times, and after the 8th round, because I started the fight at ringside, but you can't stand up at ringside, so I moved up the top, and after 8 rounds, I went down to his wife and I said, "Look, he's done it. He's the champion," and I had him winning 7-3. So I couldn't believe it. And if you rewatch it, when they give the decision, they say 96-95. You can see Mark look round at his trainer. It was just an absolute disgrace, mate. You're right in what you're saying.
Yeah, I had maybe 8-2 to Little, maybe 7-3.
Yeah, I think everyone was around the same, mate. And the thing, if you rewatch the fight, you can see the referees behind Mark the whole fight. Like, Mark's walking him down into the corners, and of course, look, Mark did get caught coming in, but that was his game plan: take a shot coming in and then go hard on the body. And every time he had him in the corner, the ref was stood behind him. I can't see. And I don't know if you saw afterwards, but there was a lot of, not trouble, but there was a lot of angry people in the arena, and it wasn't good for boxing. I even said to the referee, I saw him afterwards, and I kind of shouted over to him and said, "Lee, what have you just seen to score that?" He said, "I saw what I saw, mate." That's not an answer at all. And sadly, that was Mark's world title fight, and it's been taken away from him, and it's happening too much.
Yeah. I mean, I was sat near like Mark's friends and family.
Mm-hmm. Was you up the top then?
On the balcony, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was, yeah.
Think I saw you.
You might have, mate. I had a Mark Little tracksuit on, and I think I had a hat. I didn't have a hat because I give that to my friend Forrestal and Sons. I give these little boy my hat. Sorry.
Yeah, I saw the little boy.
So was you there for Mark that night?
No, I brought it off Rams Mahmood, the tickets.
Oh, I like Rams, yeah.
Yeah, I've interviewed him.
He's fighting on the Jack Hughes, Paul Roberts card.
Is he?
Yeah, I think he's fighting on the undercard for the Southern Area title, I believe.
Oh, so he's got a title fight as well, has he?
I believe so, yeah. I hope he has, because he's a very good fighter.
He is a good fighter, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
nice.
so did it all kick off because I left before the decision to catch?
I wouldn't say. Yeah, I wouldn't say it kicked off. I mean, I was at the top, and obviously Mark's wife went down, so I followed her down. Someone said go down, so I followed her down, and it was more just shouting towards the ring. I heard that there was a few chairs thrown and stuff like that. That weren't from anyone that I was with. I think it was just angry people questioning the decision. There was drinks being thrown from the top. I know that, which is sad to see. Because small hall boxing is where it all starts, and I love small hall shows. I'd rather go to a small hall show than Wembley. But yeah, and I think it's right to. What happened was, like you said, it was a disgrace, and it shouldn't be happening in boxing.
Yeah. I'm gutted Mark retired because I really wanted to see that rematch.
I mean, I don't know if it's for me to say, but the rematch was offered, and I think it was accepted, but then Mendes didn't, and then they come back with an offer to Mark, and it was just an offer that I'm not going to go into it, but it was an offer that just wasn't feasible. Mark would have had the money to do it, but I kind of knew. So when Mark messaged me, we've been speaking since the fight. And I give him my opinion, and he messaged me. It must have been last week now, and I said to him, "You got any good news for me?" And he said, "No, mate." He said, "That's it, I'm done." And look, Mark's got a young family. He's got a lovely wife. He's got a good job, and I think 33 years old now. It's a shame, but I'm one of Mark Little's biggest fans. Everyone knows that, but it's the right decision. He's retiring happy. He's healthy. So yeah, I'm happy for him.
It's just unfortunate that they snatched the title off him.
Yeah, mate, he would have retired if he won that fight. So, we wouldn't have seen him again. But it was just, I always thought he would go again. But with what he would have had to have done to fight Mendes again, it just wouldn't have been feasible. And I think Mendes knew that, because that's why the offer that was made, I think, shows that he didn't want it,
Yeah. I think Mendes is fighting on the 23rd as well.
That was meant to be Mark Little versus Daniel Mendes. That was when the fight was going to be. But honestly, I don't think Mendes will fight again now. I think he'll retire.
What is he? How old is Mendes?
I think he's 36.
Oh, so he was 3 years older than Little.
3 years older, yeah. But you think Mendes has been in a lot of big fights as well. He's won the Southern area before. Personally, I think he would have retired regardless of whether the Mark fight was there or not. I just think there was one last chance to make a bit of money, and he took it, and it hasn't happened. So it'd be interesting. Look, if he fights again, he fights again. But
yeah,
I'm Team Little.
Yeah. Were you at the Paul Roberts v Jack Hughes fight, the first one?
Yeah, of course I was, mate. Yeah, I was there, 12th of March.
Yeah, I didn't get down to the venue because I was busy, but I think the fight's on. No, I've seen a few highlights, and I thought I think the draw was fair enough. Maybe one round to Roberts. Maybe you could edge it to Jack, but realistically, mate, I thought that was a close fight.
Yeah, look, obviously Jack is one of my, he's my friend, he's my pal. So I see how much he put into it. And look, we all underestimated Paul Roberts. Paul Roberts, with what he had, 2 losses and a draw or something like that. I thought that Jack would get to him late. And look, there was a head clash in the second round, and you've seen the pictures. Jack's face was absolutely mauled, but you've got to give props to Paul Roberts. He was strong. He was stronger than we thought. I see him at the weigh-in, and I thought he looked drained, but he proved us all wrong. And look, there's people that have said to me that they had Paul winning 7 of the 10 rounds, but then there's people that have said that they had Jack up by 4 rounds. For me, without being biased, and I've watched the fight 3 times, I scored it 6-4 to Jack. You could argue that Jack won by 1, but look, the rematch is going to be brilliant. I respect, obviously, I love Jack to pieces, and I respect Paul for what he's done. But at this time, Paul's an enemy. Same as if it was Mark Little fighting Mendes again. Look, I wish Paul all the best. A great first fight, and every time Jack's fought for the Southern Area title, when he lost to Ricky Little, he was robbed. He's always put on a show. And I do think that if that head clash hadn't have happened, I think that Jack probably would have stopped him late. But I can't say that for definite. I just think if Jack performs to his 100% ability, I think he'll win. But who knows? It's a great fight, and I'm looking forward to watching it again.
Is that headline?
I think there's rumours, because I think it's going to be quite a big show. So I think there's going to be four title fights on there. I know that Ramez is on there. I think Adrian Martin, I think his name is. I think he's fighting on there. But yeah, I'd like to think so, because obviously how good the first fight was. Everyone wants to see it again. And props to Goodwin and to Mo Pryor and everyone for getting it made straight away.
Yeah. Was the crowd mainly behind Jack Hughes?
No, see, I was quite surprised, because obviously where Paul was coming down from Somerset, I didn't know how many he would bring. So obviously you looked at his record, whether he was just put into the fight, but look, he trained for the fight. He brought a coach load of people down, and where we was all stood for the Mark Little fight, where you just mentioned, all of Paul Roberts' fans were sat on the other side. So I think Paul probably took 40 people, 50 people maybe. But I think, yeah, Jack took about 130.
Yeah. How many did you think Mendes brought? Because I thought mainly everyone was cheering for Little.
Oh, blimey, I think Mark done about 190 tickets, because I know that, because Jack Newham had to buy a ticket online to come to the fight. Mate, to be honest with you, I didn't even, without being disrespectful, you wouldn't even notice the Mendes fans, because we were singing the whole night for Mark. I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles and East London. But that's what Mark always brings, and the same as Jack. We sing for him from the moment they walk out of that curtain to the moment they leave the ring.
Yeah. I wasn't Jack fighting the same night as No, Jack Newman was fighting the same night as Jack Hughes.
Yes, he come back. So he's at a new weight now, Jack Newham. He's now fighting at welterweight. He boxed a journeyman called Dean Wilkinson, who was 1-7, very good journeyman. Jack just looked phenomenal. You know, he looked really good. He come out from the first bell and he nearly stopped the opponent straight away. But, you know, he struggled previously at the weight below, but now he's up. You know, he's healthy. He's doing well. I was with him today in the gym. I think he's only got about 3 pounds to lose. So he's looking good, mate. Yeah.
So my interview with Dean Wilkinson's gonna be coming out soon, and he said Jack's the best fighter he's been in there with.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. See, I was speaking to Ricky, who is Jack's trainers, yesterday, and he said that from the first round, he knew he could feel Jack's power. You know, look, you can ask me all the questions about the boys. I'm always going to be biased, but Jack looked, you know, he looked strong. When I got into the venue, he was walking around on the stage watching all the boxing, walked out, had his fight, done his 4 rounds, come out, and he joined us all watching the rest of the fight. I think Jack Newham could go far in the sport. You know, I think he needs to be aiming. This is his last 4-rounder on June the 18th at York Hall. He'll probably have a 6-rounder at the end of the year, and then I reckon you'll probably see him in a Southern Area fight this time next year.
Yeah. What went wrong for when Jack Newham lost?
So in the fight where I think it was at Tottenham, his opponent come in way over the limit. I can't remember exactly. I think it was £8 or something. He come over, and which is obviously a lot of difference. And at that point, Jack's fighting at a weight where he's struggling to make it, so he was drained himself. And I think he said, well, we spoke about it. He said, you know, he was winning the fight, and then he tried something in the last round. He got caught, and next thing he knows, he's in hospital. So it was just a case of one, the opponent was way too heavy for the fight, and also Jack was struggling with the weight. You know, Jack wasn't eating. Jack wasn't even drinking water in camp. He was literally draining himself right down to the very last drop.
So their guy was much heavier than him.
Yeah, a lot heavier. Yeah, much to the point where if it was on telly on a big fight, he probably wouldn't have been able to. Well, he wouldn't have been allowed to fight. But the problem with Small Hall is if Jack turned around to the promoter and said, look, I'm not fighting him, he's too heavy, Jack's then got to get rid of all his tickets. And Jack Newham does over 100 tickets every fight. So, you know, he's then got to ring round and say to people, because on Small Hall, you weigh in on the day. So you weigh in like 4 hours before you fight. So I think he probably thought, look, I've got to fight because otherwise I've done all this for nothing. I've paid all my camp. And unfortunately, it was against Fonz Alexander. He's a journeyman. But look, Jack's now at a weight where he's happy, he's healthy, he's looking good. And fingers crossed, you know, he does what he does on June the 18th, and then we move forward from there.
Who's he boxing on the 18th?
Sorry, mate, can you say that again?
Do you know who he's fighting on the 18th?
No, they haven't. I think Ricky said yesterday that they're looking for an opponent next week. So it'll probably be, I know he wants to fight someone with a few wins because, you know, this is his 10th fight, I think. So, yeah, he's going to look for a good opponent and then, like we say, move on at the end of the year to the bigger fights.
Yeah. Do you think he'll get a stoppage?
It's quite weird. I was talking to him about this yesterday. You know, he hasn't stopped anyone as of yet, but then is that because he was drained when he was fighting? Yeah, I do think he'll stop his next opponent. You know, he's looking strong, he's looking powerful. I've actually got some videos on my phone. I'll send them over to you afterwards. He's got a lethal right hand, a very, very good right hand. But like I said, against Dean Wilkinson, he nearly stopped him in the first round.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks very good, mate. And I really hope he does get that stoppage because he deserves it. You know, if you win, you win. It doesn't matter. But you know, a stoppage is always a sign of intent, and it can move you up quite quickly.
Yeah. And then you've got a road warrior yourself, Lewis Van Pucci.
Pucci. Do you know about Pucci?
Yeah, I've watched the odd fight of his.
He's probably the most well-known journeyman in English boxing. You know, he before he had to speak to the board. He was fighting anywhere between super, middle, light, heavy to anything. He'd fight anywhere, anyone. He's fought the likes of Zach Parker, Lerone Richards, that guy that I can't remember his name, Carol Atauma. He boxed him on a BT show.
Yes.
And you know, with Pucci, he's just such a nice guy as well. You know, he could walk into a bar and not know anyone and make every person in that bar laugh. I just recently sorted a deal with him, so I'm going to look after him for merchandise and tracksuit stuff like that. It will be announced today, as well as Lee Hallett. He's another road warrior. He's had 41 fights. He was known for beating Harley Ben on Billy
Yes.
Joe Saunders' card. That's him, yeah. So yeah, them two guys. But yeah, mate, if you can get Poochie on this channel, get him on, because he's got a fantastic story, and he's
Yeah.
such a nice guy.
Lee Hallett as well. I was at one of his fights. I think it was against. I can't remember, but it was a Warren boxing management show and a Nielsen show. They were doing a combined, and I thought he won the fight.
This is the with journeyman. If you know if they lose by a point or a draw, it usually means they've won. But you know, they're there for one reason only, and I do believe that a lot of these journeymen, i.e. Lee and Lewis Poochie, easily capable of winning an English title. But you know, they're happy doing what they're doing. They're entertainers. They've got a great character about them. And boxing, you know, there's a lot of these young boxers like Jack Newham, Jordan Perkis, again, people like that, that if they couldn't take these fights early on in their career, then boxing wouldn't be about, because there'd be no one to fight.
Yeah. You need journeymen in the sport, don't you?
Yeah, mate, you can't get nowhere without them, because they're the guys that will, you know, the promoter will bring these journeymen in and say, look, I want you to show me what this kid's about. It's no good just being able to sell tickets. You know, you've got to be able to box as well. And you look at, there's a lot of guys that have gone quite quick, like Jordan Perkis, for instance. He boxed one, but then on his last fight, he boxed a guy that I think he had a winning record. You know, so there's a lot of people, and Jordan's in the same way as Paul and Jack. That's a great little division.
Yeah. Do you think if Jack Hughes beats Paul Roberts, he'll push on for like the British title or something? Because like apparently Casey Kademi and Ijaz Ahmad will be fighting for it in June, I think. Is that next?
The thing is, with that division, there's only about 6 of them. So, you know, I was speaking to Jordan, and the draw really wasn't good for Jordan, because Jordan ideally would be in this fight now in July, you know. But I think if Jack wins, he'll probably vacate the belt straight away and move on to that English-British level, which then wouldn't surprise me. Say Jack does beat Paul, if you then see Paul versus Jordan for the Southern Area title. Yeah.
I think Paul Roberts' record doesn't show how tough he is.
No way. That's what I mean. Like, we all underestimated him massively for that fight. And look, I even said to him after I shook his hand, I said, fair play to you. I said, look, let's get the rematch on and let's see what happens. And casual, and you're at a show and you see Poochie come into the ring, who's had 125 losses or whatever it is, you're going to think, well, blimey, like, who is this guy? But unless you understand boxing, as we do, you know why they're there. So, look, records, as they say in boxing, records are for DJs. If you're in that ring, you can have it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you shouldn't underestimate anyone on a record.
Yeah. I think he picked up a win earlier this year.
Who, Paul?
No, Poochie.
Oh, Poochie, yeah, he did. He actually got a draw as well, which is quite funny. I don't know if you know, but he had cramp in both his calves for the whole fight. And there's a picture on Instagram at the final bell of him laying in the ring with his legs in the air. But look, as I say, look, Poochie's a fantastic boxer. You know, even when we had the photo shoot last week, the trainer said to me yesterday, Poochie's right hand is unbelievably strong. You know, so he got a win, and he also got a draw. He had a draw off of basically fighting on one leg, and he also beat a guy. And it was quite funny because he just posted it on Instagram and put oops. So yeah, mate, they're needed though, as we say, and they do win more than they do. You know, like Lee Hallett recently fought on a card on the Jack Hughes undercard with Paul Roberts. He fought someone, you know, ID Hill, and that was a very close fight. Yeah, that was very close, and you could argue there again, same as the Jack Hughes Paul Roberts fight, that either of them won that fight. But look, the journeymen know why they're there. They know what they got to do, and they're happy to just come out the ring uncut, unstopped, and they'll go again next week.
Yeah. So should Poochie be out soon, as he's like fights most weeks?
Yeah, I think he sent me a list the other day. He boxed at the weekend in Birmingham, and then 2 hours later was on a plane to Dublin. Yeah, and then he literally flew straight to Dublin afterwards. I think he's out again this weekend. I think they take him as long as they don't get stopped or cut. They can fight whenever they want.
Really?
Yeah, I think you've got to have 7 days in between each fight. So if he fights on a Saturday, he can fight the following Saturday.
He is a very, very good, tough man.
Yeah, very good, mate. The tougher than most men in boxing because, it's what they do. They have to take punches. But if people don't play the game with them, then they're going to make them learn. Pucci told a story of one fight he was at, and the geezer was trying to land these haymakers on him, and Pucci was telling him in the ring, calm down, mate, calm down, stop what you're doing. He went back to his corner, and Pucci's trainer said to him, just whack the guy, and Pucci stopped him. He knocked him out. And if you stop one of their prospects that sells tickets, they ain't going to have you back on their shows. But the promoter knows the game. Play the game with a journeyman, and your fighter will win the fight. If you don't play the game, he's going to make it look silly, and that's what happens.
Yeah. Wait, so you make merchandise for like Pucci and Lee Hallett?
Yes, I've recently agreed a deal with them that I will support them with T-shirts and tracksuits just to raise awareness for my brand, but also to help them when they fight, So turn up to the venue in a nice tracksuit, ring walk in a T-shirt, and everyone's happy.
So is that so are you their sponsor?
Not really. You could say I'm a merchandise sponsor, but it's more just helping them out. I suppose my logo will be on their shirt, but I don't give them no money. I provide them with shirts. So it'll be a deal where they get a couple of shirts every 3-4 months and a new tracksuit twice a year.
Yeah. So did you make the Mark Little tracksuits and stuff?
Yeah. So for Mark, he ordered quite a bit. So he had about 5 tracksuits, 5 different tracksuits for his camp. He had 10 shirts for the fight. He had about 20 shirts. No, not 20. About 10 shirts for his training camp. And then also there was about 4 of us in the tracksuits on the fight night as well. But it's good for me, seeing people walking around in my tracksuits is good. And even now, I've seen plenty of boxers ring walk with my shirt on, but it's still surreal to this day to see it.
Yeah. Hopefully, I can go to one of your fighters' fights and wear maybe I can get a top or something.
Yeah, mate. If you're ever at a show and you're going to watch a fighter that I'm working with, let me know and I'll do you a shirt for nothing. No problem.
Thanks, mate. I saw you now work with Maxi Shoes.
Yeah, that's quite surreal for me, to be honest. So that all come about because Maxi put on his Instagram story about selling his shirts that he made, like he gets produced. And he said to me, like he said about the price. And I said, look, that's a good price. I make shirts. And he said, all right, thank you, mate. Appreciate that. And I said, look, if you haven't got anyone that does tracksuits, I can happily do them for you. And so I sent him a tracksuit. A few of his friends ordered tracksuits, and now his sponsor, shout out to them, Hunters in Wetherby, Justin Johnson. He's ordered a load of hoodies, and it's all going well. But yeah, to be working with a world champion when I'm not even a year into doing what I do is quite surreal. I never would have expected it. But Max, he's a lovely guy. I speak to him on the phone. We message regularly. He's a lovely guy, and the story that he's got behind him is something that you should get on here because it's a brilliant story.
Yeah, I watched. So we fought the same night as Little, I think.
Yes, he Josh Warrington card. Yes, same night.
Yeah.
I've watched it back, but I didn't see it live.
Yeah, same. And then he fought, and then he fought for the world title, I think, on the Josh Warrington Lara card.
Yes, hiddenly.
Yeah, I watched that one. He completely dominated the guy.
The thing is, like, people look at Max's record and think that he's, sometimes disrespect him, but he can box. Look at what that guy, I can never say the bloke's name that he beat for the world title. Look at what he did to the Irish fella. I can't remember his name now either.
Ryan
but
Walsh.
Yeah, who was the guy that the bloke that Maxie Hughes beat for the world title? He beat an Irish fella before that.
Oh, James Tennyson he beat.
James Tennyson, who was blowing everyone out at lightweight, and everyone thought, oh, this guy's going to come over and smash Maxie to bits. He couldn't lay a glove on Maxie. Maxie nearly stopped him in the middle of the fight, if you remember that.
Yeah.
I really hope that Maxie gets the Ryan Garcia fight because I'm not a fan of Ryan Garcia, and I think that Maxie is all wrong for him. I really do.
I really hope Maxi beats him.
Yeah, I hope the fight gets made in Doncaster. We'll all be going down there, and yeah, he wins that title. Well, keeps his title, and then goes on this hard at the minute because that division is all tied up with George Kambosos and Devin Haney.
Yeah.
But hopefully, he comes through.
Who do you think wins that Kambosos Devon Haney?
I think Kambosos. I think he's proved in his last two fights. I mean, I actually had him losing to Lee Selby, but I might need to rewatch that because I might have been watching it wrong. But what he did to Teofimo Lopez, again, just was all over him the whole fight. I think Kambosos beats him. I think Haney, give him some time. I know he's good now, but I think in a few years, Devin Haney's going to be a real massive hitter. But I still think Lomachenko's the best lightweight in the world. I just think he had an off night against Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah. I'm backing Hanley to beat him.
You think Haney's going to win, yeah?
Yeah, Haney, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people. You think so? Yeah, I think, look, Devin Haney's a special talent. But I just think Kambosos in his home country, it's the first time he would have had a big show for himself. I think he's going to do it.
Yeah. Are you going to watch? I think AJ's going to fight Usyk again. Apparently, the rematch is going to be the same day as Jack Hughes, Paul Roberts. I think it's been rumored. Do you think AJ goes back to beat Usyk?
I think he will if he does what he knows he can do. If he goes in there to stop him, I think he'll do it. He's got. I said to Tom on the TRS podcast last night, he's got to do that leaning on him. He's going to have to risk taking a shot coming in to get to Usyk. Because if he don't, Usyk's going to be dancing around him, making him look like a reindeer going around a Christmas tree. He's going to make him look silly again. So, look, AJ's got to go back to basics. Just jab, big right, good night. But we shall see. Usyk's very good, but Usyk's got a lot going on at the minute, so you never know. It could spur him on, or it could. I've heard rumours that Usyk's now very light because he hasn't been training or anything, understandably. But I've heard he's way under what he was. So who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I've heard it's the same night as Jack Hughes versus Paul Roberts, but I wouldn't miss that rematch for nothing. So
yeah, and then would you watch it like in the morning after?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I know it's in Saudi Arabia, so the main event will probably be about 9:30. So depending on where I am, because the fight at York Hall should be done by then, I might be in a taxi home or on the train or whatever, so I might get it on my phone. But yes, I'll definitely watch it back regardless of what time or when it is.
Yeah. Do you think, I heard you the other day saying you think that AJ would beat Wilder?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I firmly believe that. Look, Wilder's got massive power, but I don't think he has anything else apart from that. And that's no disrespect to him because he was a WBC champion for so long. But I think obviously Fury beats him. I think Joshua beats him. I think Dillian White beats Deontay Wilder as well. I think you could argue Joe Joyce beats Wilder, but who knows?
Joe Joyce and Dillian White 100% don't beat Wilder.
You don't think so, no?
No, definitely not.
I think that would be an absolute war, Dillian White versus Wilder. But I just think White's the better boxer. And I think he would, he can set the punch up. Wilder's just all about throw the stiff jab and land the right. If you get caught with it, you're in trouble. You're banging trouble. But if you can stay out that way and just box your way around him and land a big shot here and there, you'll do it, as Fury proved.
Yeah, but if White performs like he did against Fury, Wilder can I reckon Wilder's power would be too much for him.
Oh, look, if he caught Dillian White, he'd knock him out. You've seen what it is. The uppercut is something that White can't control. He just does not like that punch. But I think in regards to Fury made White look silly because Fury done what he knows best. He absolutely outboxed him, outsmarted him. He looked brilliant in the ring. But Wilder wouldn't be able to do that to White because he can't box like Fury, So that is a fight I'd like to see Derek Chisora versus Deontay Wilder, to be honest with you. That would
Wilder sparks him in 5.
He does knock him out, but for 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds, it would be an absolute war. You know what I mean? But I'd love to see White versus Wilder. I think, and I'd have a bet on it that I think White would beat him. I thought White was going to beat Fury, not because he's a better boxer. I thought Fury was going to come and have a fight, but he didn't. And fair play to Fury.
Yeah. My last question for you is how long have you been like doing the tracksuits for?
So tracksuits have only just really started. So I started about a year ago with a guy in Scotland, and he did all the printing. I did all the designing and chasing up, and I was messaging people daily. And then nothing went really wrong. I moved to a guy in Essex, and he does all my like specialist printing, HV apparel. So anything that I need, like special, for instance, the MTK logo, anything like that, I'd have to go to him for. But at the moment, any hoodies, tracksuits, and anything like that I can do from home. I've been doing it myself for about 6 months, and it's all going well. Just busy, mate. Just at this moment in time, I'm not really messaging people. I've done Will Jones. He's got a tracksuit coming. Done some shirts for Brad Pauls, Mark Little, Jack Newham. I'm going to forget people. Maxi Hughes, obviously. So it's all going well.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Hopefully, I can come to support one of your fighters very soon, and hopefully, I can get one of your tracksuits.
Yeah, but just like I say, if you're at the show and I'm going to be there, let me know and I'll bring a shirt down with me. No problem.
So will you be like at the Jack Newham fight?
Yes, we're doing some tracksuits for Jack. He's fighting on the 18th of June.
Yeah,
so I'll be doing.
I'll probably come to that one because I think the 23rd of July I'm going on holiday, so I can't go to that.
Where are you going on holiday? Anywhere nice?
Spain.
Oh, nice. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, if you're coming to the Jack Newham fight, let me know, and I'll sort you something out. Just drop me a message and we'll sort something out for you.
Yeah. Manny, thank you. Thank you for your time, mate.
No problem at all. It's been a pleasure, mate.
Thank you, mate. Bye.
Take care. Speak soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.